Following the attack on Jevite, we decided to hold off on any further research activities. It wasn't like we had much choice, though. Until the culprit was apprehended, there was a strong chance we would be viewed as suspects. Girl knows what's up. In fact, I could sense eyes on us wherever we went, as if we were under surveillance. But why would we attack him only to save him, people? It wasn't for our own protection. It was more like they were waiting for us to slip up and show our true colors. I felt like the forensic evidence from his wound and the timeline of events should have completely exonerated us, but it was up to this country's people to decide what constituted justice, not us. Is Jevite awake yet? Has he been able to, clear your name in any way? Identify the attempted murderer, something. And so, 3 days after the transfusion... He's awake?
Yes. And the first words out of his mouth were that he was hungry. Talk about unflappable.
Okay, so he was in a coma for 3 days. That makes sense. That sounds just like Jevite. I'm relieved.
Me too. That day sucked. No one was around when I got back from the camel stables and there was blood everywhere. I was so scared. I had no idea what was going on. I mean, I wasn't scared. Not at all.
So that's where you were. You were in the camel stables and you're like, where is everybody?
So when can we see them? I've been pretty worried since they're not allowing visitors. They should be glad I didn't sneak in to check on him.
You would do that?
It wouldn't be the first time. Information broker is more than just a fancy title.
Jevite is eager to see you all too, but I'll have to check with the higher-ups first. Even I know better than to act unilaterally in this matter.
Why do we have to listen to them? We're not even from here.
That's precisely why we need to follow their protocols. As outsiders, it would be easy to pin the crime on us. You don't want to make it even easier for them, do you?
I get it. I was just venting. If you ask me, someone from the Jereme camp was probably responsible.
I don't know. I don't rule out Mom just yet. I don't know why she'd want to kill her own son, but I don't know. There's like a third party at play. Is it a third party? I guess so. I guess there's like the Jereme camp, the Jevite camp, and then there's the Queen Mother camp. I feel like Queen Mother's got her own agenda going on.
Jereme camp?
I mean, they don't really need two kings, do they? One country, one ruler. I believe that's how it was before the flood anyway. If there were ever multiple candidates, they typically fought it out to see who got the throne.
But Jereme wouldn't do that, would he? They're brothers.
So what? That doesn't make any difference. People have been betraying their own family since the dawn of time.
We are in Cainabel, after all.
They don't seem to get along that well or have very high opinions of one another, do they? Not that I would know or care, since I'm just an outsider.
Who is walking so slowly into this room? Okay, I'm like, I just hear this tap, tap, tap.
Pardon me, if I could have everyone's attention. King Jereme summons you. Please report to the throne room at once.
King Jereme?
It's almost like he heard me talking about him. I don't want to go. Is it alright if I wait here?
Ulrik.
Yeah, I know. Jeez. Hey, guards 1 and 2! You'd better keep me safe if anything happens!
I'm sure they will. We had been told to wait here until the king was ready for us.
I really don't want to do this. I'd seriously rather get stuck in a conversation with Elt.
Just relax. I'll protect you.
I know I'm the one who asked you to, but the more I think about it, the less I like it.
How come?
Because. It's pathetic not being able to protect myself. I should at least be able to escape on my own.
You can try to do that if you like. I'll do everything I can to see that you get away safely.
But then you're still protecting me and I still look pathetic. It sucks. Oh well, whatever. This isn't the place to be worrying about that. There's no telling what could happen. All we can do is be ready.
It looks like they're ready for us. We should go. I'm nervous. We entered the room single file, with me 2 steps in front as the party's representative. Oh my goodness, how do I even say this?
Your Highness, Ashnawala Valis Jevite have arrived.
Very good.
What did the guard say? It sounded like he was talking about Jevite. As I searched for clarity, my gaze landed on the pair of thrones. Naturally, Jevite wasn't there. There was something indescribably lonely about the empty seat. Jereme remained silent. I was unsure whether he was in contemplation or waiting for something. I wonder if I should speak first. But what should I say? Should I insist that we weren't the ones responsible? I mean, he summoned you, so I would let him speak. That would probably just make him more suspicious. I was starting to wish someone had taught us the proper etiquette for situations like this when...
Bring them in.
At once.
Who was he talking about? Jevite? He said them, though. But if that were the case, why wasn't he already seated at his throne? Maybe he wasn't well enough to walk yet. The mystery only deepened. Witnesses? About a minute passed. Then the sounds of multiple footsteps broke the silence.
Your Highness, I have brought Ashnawala Valis Jereme.
Ashnawar... Wonder if Valis is king? It's like, I brought something of King Jereme. I brought something of King Jevite. Supporters, strangers, visitors. Ah! Oh my god! It's you guys! What? They made it! Wait, they're on Team Jereme? I guess it makes sense. I mean, I knew from the beginning that it was divided into 2 things. That's why you can't, like, do that crew at the beginning. Because you don't know that they're coming later. It's funny. Fun. Okay, so that means when I do, like, a future route, and I'm, like, with this team, I'll be coming to save Ulrik and the boys. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. St. Yune, Eltcreed, Ines! And they got their own outfits. Wonderful. Hold on, I'm gonna very carefully. Looking good, looking good. It's lovely to see you again, Cyrus. Sorry to have kept you waiting so long. I'm pleased that Ulrik seems to be doing well too.
You've gotta be kidding me! Why did you pick now of all times to show up?
The leading man has to make a dramatic entrance. Oh my god, Ulrik totally called what he was gonna say.
I knew it! I knew you'd say that! Get out of here, Elt! It's crowded enough without you!
Don't single me out like that. You'll hurt my feelings. We swore to share in both good times and bad, didn't we? Oh, I'm sorry. When did you 2 get married?
Just die, you jerk! I didn't swear anything!
Ulrik, maybe you could save this for later?
Right. Damn it, it's Elt's fault that I made a scene.
It always is. I like that we had that one little aside. That's great. As the conversation settled, Jereme began to speak again.
It seems you truly are acquainted with one another.
Yes, they're all high-ranking officials in the Heights, in our country.
So they are royalty.
No, the Heights doesn't operate under a monarchy like Cainabel. That's St. Yune, our priest. He's the symbol of our nation and supports the people spiritually. Eltcreed is one of our governing politicians. And Ines is an upper-level official in the police force, an organization dedicated to maintaining public safety.
Why have they come here?
Well, because of Ulrik. I mean, they did come because we sent them a message. It wasn't a bad message. I don't know. I mean, I don't think Jereme is a bad king. He's just like very no nonsense. He's ice. Got ice in his veins. I want to be straight up with him. Because of Ulrik. I think they're here because of Ulrik. Ulrik kept saying he was sure Eltcreed would come eventually. Eltcreed looks so freaking smug, like, oh, he did he? So good. Yes, I knew it. I knew he was gonna be like, oh. Also, I'm a big fan of this. Love that. Love that on you. Oh, did he know?
I never said that.
Yes, you did. I heard you myself.
You talked as if it were a foregone conclusion. Wow, everyone just ganged up on Ulrik. Oh, now I see.
Stop grinning like that. It's sickening.
Then if you would allow me to explain, our purpose in this country is curiosity, plain and simple. Huh? Curiosity, an inquisitive spirit, a sense of playfulness. I wanted to see this place, so I hopped on a carriage and came straight here. Cyrus and Ulrik are the ones to blame. They sent a letter that was quite intriguing. Kings are supposed to be the stuff of fairy tales. I'd stop at nothing to see a real-life example. That's why the three of you came? It's more fun traveling with friends, although this is the first time I've journeyed out this far. What a heart-pounding adventure it was. I could talk about it endlessly if you let me. But instead you're gonna make me wait till I do your route, aren't you? So you guys came on carriage through the fog. How did you not get lost? But it might leave a bad impression if I did all the talking. So, starting now, I'll be as quiet as a church mouse. Let us please return to the topic at hand. So I'm in charge again now? That was Eltcreed for you. Lower your guard for a split second and he would take over.
Oh, so much for my peace and quiet.
I ignored Ulrik's grumbling and turned my attention to Jereme. I apologize for our rude behavior. In response to your question, these people have come here because they share our interests in Cainabel.
Indeed.
I would advise you to keep us close at hand rather than drive us away. Despite my appearance, I can prove myself quite valuable. As can Saint Yune and Mr. Heine. Ines, that is. No disrespect toward the expedition, but we happen to be worth much more than those four. And anyway, wouldn't you like to know more about the world beyond the fog? The throne room was completely silent. It was as if time had stopped as we all waited for Jereme to respond.
You may stay. However, there are conditions.
What conditions? Jereme nodded slightly and recrossed his legs.
Following King Jevite's example, I will take responsibility for Eltcreed, Yune, and Ines. At present, my suspicions concerning the three Ashnoir-Lavalis Jevite have yet to be resolved. Allowing you to fraternize with individuals under suspicion would be problematic. To prevent unnecessary difficulties, your parties are to refrain from contact with one another.
Okay. That sounds reasonable. In fact, it's rather generous. Especially considering our current circumstances. Although there were restrictions, he was still welcoming 3 new people into his country. We're grateful for your kindness, King Jereme. Hey, we get to see your outfit. Cool. Looking very good. Very, very good.
Forgive me for being presumptuous, but I must know. What are they suspected of?
You see... Who's coming in now?
King Jereme!
Oh no, it's her again. I turned to see the Queen Mother standing at the threshold with a bundle of cloth in her hand.
Queen Mother Maeve, what is it?
The Queen Mother marched straight to the throne, taking no heed of her surroundings. Awestruck, we all silently cleared a path for her. Goosebumps prickled ominously across my skin as she brushed past me. What is she going to do? I held my breath in anticipation. Did she just slap him? Girl?
How dare you! My precious son!
Your Highness!
At ease. Stand aside. What is the meaning of this, Queen Mother Maeve? Of all the audacious, despicable! Everyone, I want you to hear this! The one behind the attempt on King Jevite's life was none other than King Jereme!
Okay, I mean, I think we all knew she was going to set up King Jereme for this. So yeah, I guess she wants to she got rid of her son, pin it on King Jereme, and then she rules, maybe? I don't know. Jereme?
I see. And you're proof of this. Your own private guard confessed to it under interrogation. He was so racked with guilt that he took his own life the moment my servants weren't watching.
Convenient.
What more proof do you need than this knife, taken from the guard's house?
The Queen Mother said, roughly untying the bundle she carried with her. It contained a weapon inside that she thrust in front of Jereme.
Take a good look. It's still stained with his blood. My poor son, Jevite's!
The air was thick with tension. One more step and the blade in the Queen Mother's hand would be at Jereme's throat. Both his servants and I were keenly aware of this, which is precisely why none of us moved. We were too far away to do anything, and any action might only make things worse. Jereme was calm and collected, in stark contrast with the Queen Mother's fiery rage. Maintaining eye contact with her, he placed his hand on the blade.
Queen Mother Maeve, you are of high standing yourself, so you may not be aware. But that knife is an everyday item for a common person. It is typically used for cutting food, such as vegetables or meat. It is no surprise that such an object would have blood clinging to it. What difference does that make? It's a deadly implement no matter what its purpose is. Even a fool could tell that the culprit is none other than yourself, after all. If I died, he could have the throne to himself, right? Or even if I survived, perhaps I might step down out of fear. Isn't that what you're thinking? Jevite, you're alive and well. Apologies for making you worry, Mother. And to you as well, King Jereme. I've caused no small amount of trouble for you. I promise to make up for it, so please have mercy. How are you feeling? You can't have recovered already, surely. Incredulous as always, I see. I'm made of tougher stuff than that. Though I'll admit it was a close call this time. It seems the gods saw fit for me to pull through. Apparently it was descendants of the sacred bird that saved me. I see. I'm relieved. Indeed. Unfortunately, the attack was so sudden I wasn't able to see who was behind it. But I survived, so all's well that ends well, right?
Okay, so you didn't see.
All right, Mother? No, it's not. It's not all right. I won't accept it! What are you saying? How can you laugh at a time like this, Jevite? You almost died! This man tried to kill you! Even though you're all I have left. Oh, Mother. Please don't cry. I had planned to let it go, but I understand. If it's so important to you, then the culprit will be punished. But only after a thorough investigation. We don't have enough proof yet. Here's all the proof you need! That knife doesn't prove a thing. Anybody could get one just like it in the market. I would have preferred to ask King Jereme's private guard about it, but unfortunately that's no longer an option. We'll just have to gather more evidence.
Jevite took the knife from the Queen Mother before plopping himself down on his throne.
Honestly, I can't stand this seat. It's so cold and uncomfortable. But today, just for today, I rather like it. It makes me feel like I'm really back. Now, how shall we proceed, King Jereme? This meeting is over. What? But we haven't even done anything. Shouldn't you introduce me to those three or something? I'm busy. Do as you wish. That is all. Alright. See you around, King Jereme. Please don't scowl like that. You'll put wrinkles on your beautiful face. I'll see you back to your room. You all, tend to our guests.
Yes, sir.
Jevite was... I feel like this isn't the first attempt on Jevite's life. He was, like, way too chill about it. Like, I was just gonna let it go, but... Alright. The rooms that had been prepared for Eltcreed and the others were apparently on the opposite side of the palace from ours, so we parted ways as soon as we exited the throne room. We had finally been reunited after all this time, but now it was just the four of us again. It looks like your reunion with Eltcreed was short-lived.
So what? I don't care. Actually, it's a relief. Spending too much time around that chatterbox would give me a mental breakdown for sure. What's so funny?
You seem happy.
What? How? I'm not happy at all. You don't know what you're talking about.
No, I really mean it. The fact that Eltcreed made it here safely means there's a way for us to get back home. He found a path for us, Ulrik.
Yeah, alright. I guess that's true. At least we have an established precedent now. That guy does come in handy sometimes, even if it's not very often. What do you think about the supposed criminal?
Criminal? You mean the guard who tried to kill Jevite?
Yeah. Something about it doesn't sit right with me. But maybe that's just because I'm not from around here. Are we really supposed to accept her word that it was suicide? I mean, just bringing in a dead body and saying, "He killed himself," wouldn't be enough to convince me. And then there's Jevite. He seems awfully calm for someone who was almost murdered. So calm that it makes me suspicious. But maybe the royal family is just like that. I guess death lurks around every corner when you're in a position of power. If that's true, then I'd prefer to spend my life avoiding it.
Won't that be difficult when you're so close to Eltcreed?
Gah, rub it in, why don't you? I wish that guy would just screw up and lose everything for my own peace of mind.
I like that you don't want to leave him. You're just like, why can't he just be poor and unimportant? I can't sleep. It was probably because I couldn't stop thinking about what happened in the throne room. I should have been tired, but I was wide awake. Maybe if I go for a walk. I got out of bed and straightened my clothes. I thought about grabbing my sword, but I should be okay without it. The palace is safe and protected with all those guards stationed around. Then again, that's probably what Jevite thought. I doubt he ever imagined that he would be attacked inside his own home. This kind of is reminiscent of the first game. I know I certainly wouldn't have expected it. My house was where I felt most at ease. After a long deliberation, I fastened my sword to my hip. Good girl. Now I'll be safe if anything happens. That was the key to the grand ending in the original game. She had to take her sword. I had hoped I might bump into someone, but the common area was deserted. The crackling of flames was the only break in the silence. I'll bet everyone else is already asleep. The scrolls that littered the floor probably belonged to Ulrik. I had just crouched down to pick them up before someone stepped on them when, Footsteps? Someone was approaching from the corridor. I strained my eyes to see, but the darkness made it difficult.
What a surprise. I wasn't expecting to see you here.
Jevite? How are you recovering?
Well, thanks to you. The moon is particularly beautiful tonight, is it not?
He's acting as if nothing happened. As I gazed at him curiously, he shrugged his shoulders and moved closer.
Don't you feel anything? Our people revere the moon. Do yours not?
It's very pretty.
It holds a special place for us. Our oldest god Nepra is born with the dawn and dies with the sunset. An endless cycle of death and rebirth. For us who drift on the brink of eternal change, the day is a time for life and activity, while the night is a time for death and quiet rest. The night robs the earth of its heat and its light. It blurs boundaries and masks the truth. But the moon alone guides us here in the desert. It is the eye of Nepra, bequeathed to us that we might not lose our way. It is also a vessel. The moon collects the departed souls of the dead, purified of their sins by the black of night, granting them new life in the next world. A symbol of hope that waxes and wanes but never fades.
It sounds so mystical. We don't have any stories like that in the Heights.
Why not?
I don't know. Maybe it's because we have Saint Yune instead. We put all our faith in him.
Ah yes, the ageless and immortal one. That little squirt I met earlier today had the same name, didn't he?
You disrespect our priest.
So that really was him after all. He just looks like a young lad. I see. I suppose there's no room for uncertainty when you have clear proof of miraculous beings. It's cold here. Cyrus, will you come to my room?
Your room?
Yes. I would like to continue this conversation. Is that all right?
Of course. I was having trouble sleeping anyway, so it will help pass the time.
You too. What a coincidence, so was I. Maybe it was all that time I spent unconscious, but I haven't been able to sleep a wink. I'm glad I ran into you. Your hand, my princess.
Good lord, this guy is working hard. I'm weak for the my princess. She didn't even complain. She's like, alright, I'll be your princess, boy.
I'll get us something warm to drink. Make yourself at home.
Do you need my help?
What do I look like, an invalid? I can take care of it myself. Just leave it to me.
Fine. That's what I said, but really, I could never make myself comfortable in another person's room. My body was tense, like I was participating in a rare ceremony held only once every few years. Are these bottles full of medicine?
Oh, Adage left those here. One is for pain, the other he called antibiotics, I think. He told me to finish them over the next week. An awfully practical treatment from the descendants of the sacred bird Pesachet, don't you think?
I want to say that the ends justify the means. It was the only way we could get them to agree.
I understand. You didn't want the shaman to get hurt, correct? He was doing his sincere best, too. But it takes more than good intentions to save someone. Dozens of sacrificial sheep and the prayers of every citizen in the country weren't enough to stay the late king's soul from departure. If only we had run into your group earlier, he might still be alive. I suppose I'm lucky to have been spared myself. My untimely death would have sent the country into turmoil. At worst, there might have been a total collapse.
Right, and who would the people turn to at their worst moment? The most popular person, the Queen Mother.
You have my sincerest gratitude. I owe you my life.
Adage is the one who did everything. You should be thanking him.
Ah, yes. He personally told me many times how grateful I should be. It's not often you encounter someone so emphatic in this regard. He is a strange one. That reminds me, he also told me I would be dead if not for you, but he wouldn't explain the reason why. Do you happen to know?
He's probably referring to my golden blood.
Golden blood? Your blood is gold?
Not literally. That's just what they call it, because anyone can receive a transfusion from me.
A transfusion? What's that?
Oh, I should have explained. I'm not a doctor, though, so I don't really understand the specifics. A transfusion is when someone suffering blood loss or blood shortage from a particular disease receives blood from another person.
Another person's blood? But isn't that dangerous?
Of course. You have to ensure the blood type, that is, the specific kind of blood, is compatible. My blood type is special, so I can give it to anyone.
And that's why it's called golden blood. I see. So that's the technique that saved my life. To be honest, the thought of someone else's blood flowing through my veins is a little...
I see. I can understand why it might be unsettling when you think about it like that. That's probably why Adage didn't say anything. I'm sorry, I should have been more prudent.
No, I was the one who asked. You have nothing to apologize for. I owe you my gratitude. Thank you, Cyrus.
I was wondering how he was going to react to that, because I'm like, what is the culture here around blood transfusions out of curiosity? Doesn't seem completely out of, like, where he's just like, what? You can do that? He's just like, I feel a little uncomfortable knowing your blood's in me. Which, you know what, fair. I would feel the same, honestly. By the way, what about the perpetrator's identity? Have you gathered any more information?
Who do you think it was?
Why are you asking me?
I'm just curious. I'd like to hear multiple perspectives.
I see. Well, I don't think it was King Jereme.
Why not?
Because he's your family.
I see. Very interesting. I'm glad I asked. Family members don't fight in your country.
There are regrettable incidents every now and then, but nothing is more important than family. We're all taught that from a young age. Is it different in Cainabel?
It is. We believe in country before family. There are stories throughout our history and mythology of people who are forsaken for the good of the nation.
Do you think it was Jereme?
No, my brother is innocent.
Jevite said before quietly pouring a cup of tea. He handed it to me without a word, but wouldn't let go. His eyes locked with mine, and he moved his face closer. Jevite.
I know who was behind the attack on me. It was the Queen Mother.
My mind stopped in its tracks at his revelation, the two of us close enough for me to feel his breath. Okay, we're on the same page. But why? On what basis?
You wouldn't understand, even if I told you.
Don't make assumptions. I won't understand anything if you don't tell me.
Yes, I suppose that's true.
He let go of the cup and sat in a nearby chair.
On what basis?
He says it like someone else made the accusation.
I suppose because that's how she is isn't a good enough reason.
Jevite. The Queen Mother is...
Yes, she's my mother. And she has proof. She apprehended one of our private guard and even confiscated a weapon. That little performance in the throne room was probably because she was getting anxious that her errand boy hadn't returned. Any concerns about her son's well-being were secondary. Her tears, her words, it was all a lie. She's good, I'll grant her that. Her specialty is preying on people's sympathies. I had intended to keep an eye on her, but it wasn't enough. I've learned quite a bit from her. Maybe I should have seen this coming. She rose from a common civilian to the ranks of Queen Mother. It's very impressive.
He really thinks. Just like when we encountered the Queen Mother on the street the other day, he spoke as if she was a complete stranger. Maybe I was uncomfortable with all this because I was an outsider, unfamiliar with this country's culture. He was the one who had almost died. His own mother was the culprit. And yet he was talking as if it were some sort of gossip that didn't concern him. To be honest, it seemed like I was more shocked than he was. Although, he was probably going through inner turmoil, even if it didn't show on the surface. Not in any way that I could see, at least. His true feelings were inscrutable to me. Is that just what people are like here? If what you say is true, then what are you going to do about it?
Regicide is a serious crime, even if the attempt is unsuccessful. I'll have to hand down judgment. Your face says you're not convinced. What would you do in my place? Overlook it because she's family?
I don't know what to do here. I don't know what Cyrus would do. I mean, this doesn't matter for, like, the Ulrik side of things, but... I mean, considering, you know, what the law did to our girl in the first game, I don't have a lot of... But, I mean, we're not in the Heights anymore. We're not in the Heights or the Depths. This is, like, a whole different set of laws, but still... You know what? Let's go for the top one. I'm curious. Oh, I got an increase with you. Interesting. Make a note of that for later. I wouldn't overlook it, but I'd encourage her to turn herself in.
Turn herself in?
Under Heights law, if a criminal comes forward to the investigative body before they're apprehended, they receive a reduced penalty. Motive is also taken into account. She must have had a reason. What if you tried talking to her about it?
I'm certain she did have a reason. If she just wanted to inflict pain and suffering on someone, she wouldn't have targeted me. Turn herself in, huh? It seems unfair to give someone a lighter sentence just because they claim to be remorseful. Imagine how the victim must feel. You're right. I'll try talking with her, as you suggest. Given her standing, it could cause an uproar if the public suddenly found out what she did. I'll have to handle this through the proper procedures.
Well, we'll see how that goes, I guess.
I wish we could stay like this forever, but I think your friend would try to kill me if he found out. Sadly, it's time to say goodnight.
Yeah, you've already been almost killed in the last few days. Let's not have that happen again. Kill you?
Too soon to be making jokes like that. I apologize if it was in poor taste. Thank you for a wonderful time. Good night, Cyrus.
Oh. Interesting. We didn't get, like, Jevite's perspective. But, I'm assuming Cyrus didn't escort Cyrus back to her room. So, probably Jevite's perspective.
After escorting Cyrus back to her room, I went to the top floor of the palace.
Whoa. Well, this is a very, very nice place. I love it. No notes.
The royal chamber. Just as the name indicated, it was a room off limits to all but the royal family. Not even the royal guard or trusted advisors were permitted access. It was a sanctuary that had existed since the founding of Cainabel.
Aw, look at our boy. In quiet contemplation.
It shouldn't be much longer. Once I began, there would be no time to change my mind. I filled my lungs with the cold night air. The chill was pleasant. It reminded me I was still alive. Except, I've been kept alive for a reason. Although I was confident in my memory, there were gaps surrounding the moment of my attack. I remembered a pain in my back, the shivering cold, a feeling of suffocation, a voice calling my name, and the prayers of the shaman. Everything after that was blank, and the next thing I knew, I was lying in bed in my own room. According to the servants, the party from beyond the fog were descendants of the sacred bird Pesachet, and they had saved my life using secret knowledge. If it hadn't been for them, the darkness would have consumed me by now. I was saved by a miracle. It was undoubtedly proof from the gods that my work here wasn't finished yet. Ah, it looks like she's here. This was something only I could do, and I would only have one chance. Failure wasn't an option. I have been waiting for you, Queen Mother.
Oh, why the formality? Just call me Mother like you always do.
No. Right now I am acting not as your son, but as king. I have found what you were looking for. I held a birdcage with a cloth draped over it out in front of her. She took it with some hesitation and tentatively removed the cloth. The birdcage clattered as it hit the floor. The impact caused the door to break open, freeing what was inside. What's the matter? Why do you look so surprised? Weren't you looking for evidence of the attacker? I picked it up and held it out in front of her. It was a man's finger, severed at the second knuckle. The nail had been removed during the interrogation process. I actually would have preferred to bring the owner himself here, but since entry to the royal chamber is forbidden, I had to settle for this. I trust this tattoo is proof enough for you. It's the same one you mark your servants' hands with.
Oh. What have you done?
So charming. So loathsome. Her thin lips trembled and there were tears in her large eyes. She could entice a man with a single gesture, all while keeping her own hands clean. She was a fiendish woman. How dare you play the victim here? You're despicable. That you would order an attack on your own son.
You think that I... On what basis?
Ah, you too, huh? Seems like everyone's asking that question lately. My private guards are no fools. I've instructed them to consider everyone a suspect should anything ever happen to me. Considering how the last king died, it's no wonder I've taken precautions. You know what people say. Tomorrow, that could be me. But you didn't just stop with attacking me. You also pinned the crime on one of King Jereme's personal guard, and then forced him to kill himself. Or perhaps you had him killed and made it look like a suicide. Disgusting. Your brutality sickens me.
What are you saying? How could I be responsible for an attack on my own son? For his attempted murder?
Growing desperate, are we? Can you keep up the act? Too bad I have a witness. Who do you think that finger belongs to?
You monster.
Don't I know it? I'm beyond redemption. Just tell me, why go to all this trouble? What was your plan once I was dead? You weren't satisfied being pampered day and night? Answer me, Maeve.
How dare you address me that way? Ungrateful wretch!
So at last you admit it. The last king also lost his life unexpectedly. Your success made you complacent.
Shut up, shut up, shut up! I never intended to kill you. You're alive, aren't you? And besides, this is all your fault. You're the failure. You're the fool. You know nothing of the hardships I suffer.
Hardships?
No matter how many times I told him that you should be his rightful successor, the king just wouldn't listen. And so I had him killed. But even with him dead, now we have 2 kings. Why? That Kesharak has no right to his throne. You're the only one fit to rule, Jevite. Be a good son and just do as I say, and this country will be yours and yours alone.
Mine alone, huh? It sickens me that you would treat this country like a possession. You cravenly seek status, yet have no interest in actually governing our people.
What did you say?
After all, the one in search of power is you, Mother. Isn't that right, King Jereme? I heard everything. I will rule in accordance with the law, including the matter of the former king. Jevite!
You... Why?
For your own good. Farewell, Mother.
He just killed her. Holy crap. Jereme was like shook. Alrighty then.
What have you done? You're shaking, brother. I'm surprised. You're always so calm and collected. I didn't think you had it in you. Answer me, Jevite. I judged your crime accordingly. I didn't need to consult the law. The penalty is death. But your own mother. Her crime was heinous, to be sure, but she didn't have to die. You're too soft, dear brother. You would show mercy even when she regarded you with such contempt? I don't expect you to understand, but this is my own form of mercy. I was curious what would happen to my mother when she was tried for murdering our father, the king. I looked into the historical records to see if there was any precedent. There was one. A dignitary had poisoned a second princess out of a personal grudge. They imprisoned him in a horse-drawn carriage and paraded him around town before throwing him in jail. I couldn't imagine someone as proud as my mother enduring such treatment. So I killed her myself. I had been advised to discuss the matter, but... it seems the son of the criminal is a criminal himself. Do with me as you see fit. Must I lose you too, so soon after our father? Now you can return to your rightful path. You deserve to take the throne. Kill me if you like, or tell me to take my own life and I'll happily oblige. That will make everything neat and tidy, won't it? A fitting end to this family dispute. Don't trivialize life like that. I'm sorry. Jevite, I hereby banish you from Cainabel. You will atone for your crime outside our borders. You think kicking me out will make me atone? You're too naive. I am nothing of the sort. You are forever exiled as a threat to the stability of this country and its people. You may never return to the land of your birth. You will spend the rest of your days facing the consequences of your actions here. You will report everything you learn abroad back to us, dedicating your life to the betterment of Cainabel until you die in obscurity. You're making me an ambassador? Wow, you're even more naive than I thought. But alright, if the king orders it, then that's what I'll do. The two-king system shall essentially be abolished. You are more suited to the throne than I, brother. This is how it should be. My fool brother.